Welcome to the Bowdudes, a podcast about archery and the lives it has ruined. The Bowdudes are not responsible for diminishing archery skills or lower IQ.
I worry about breathing.
Shut up and shoot.
And I'm totally lost.
God, I keep having to remember that we're PG-13.
Did help you with those pants?
No, he did not. I'm so glad you have yourself to crack up.
Logic and common sense will not be tolerated.
This is a very interesting podcast so far.
We are back. We got most of the crew here tonight. We got Bob, Godfather of Archery, Mr. Forbes, Mr. Frazier. We're using good names tonight. Mr. Gibson, and I'm Gary. We are going to do an interview tonight with professional archer Art Brown, and many accomplishments, and we're going to get right into those. We'll skip the other stuff we normally do and go straight to the interview. So, Pib, it's all you.
All right, here we go. You got him? Art, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, good to hear from you.
Yes, I am.
Good to hear you, Art. How you been?
Been doing great. Been real active, busy, and doing a lot of hunting.
Cool. Well, you'd sent me some stuff the other day, and we'd kind of like you to, for the audience, go over kind of how you got into some things, some of the things you've done in archery and stuff like that, and give our audience an idea of who Art Brown is.
Sounds good.
So, it says here you're from River Falls, Wisconsin. I'd have never known that. I'd have never known that from your accent.
I think you're picking on me right now, but
no,
I grew up in Black River Falls, Wisconsin. You do this to me all the time.
I wouldn't do that to you, Art.
Yeah. So I'm a Yankee, I guess. I grew up on the north. I was youngest of 12 kids in my family, believe it or not, and we used to shoot at each other with bow and arrow when we were kids.
Wow. How did we ever live to be this long?
I don't know.
Yeah, you better drink for bottled water.
That's right. But yeah, it was neat growing up in the north, and we had up there hunting's a real big thing in Wisconsin, so we had it's a kind of a natural transition to be into archery. I was one of the first ones in my family to really get started, even though I was the youngest, and I just had a passion for archery at a very young age. I remember I saved all my money and bought my first compound bow when I was about 13 or 14 years old, and was addicted to it then, and laid off it for many years when I was in the service and stuff, and got back into archery, started shooting bows again back in 95, and one thing progressed to another, did a lot of hunting, and some local guys back in 2006 or 2005 got me to go to some local tournaments, and then I started shooting national here, and I just absolutely loved it. I mean, it consumed me.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, it's one of those things. You go out in your yard to shoot your bow, and you're like, I'm going to shoot 30 shots, and 2 hours later, you're still shooting. How do you explain that?
It's addictive, isn't it?
It is. And I think it's the part of it is that I can do better than that. I can do better. So we keep shooting and trying to achieve another level.
That's awesome. What was your first year in ASA? You said 2006?
Yeah, I believe it was 2006. I was shot in the Open Sea, after 2 tournaments, and some of my friends said, I said, I'm going to shoot the next one in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And they're like, no, just stay in the sea. I said, no, the rules say if you win X amount of dollars, you have to move up, so I'm going to move up. At that second ASA tournament, I bought a range of targets and took those dudes home, and I studied them like you couldn't believe. Shot them twice a day, moved them around, studied them, shot them. And in my first Open B tournament, I went to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I don't know how I did it, but I won that tournament by 10 points.
Oh, cool.
So I want a real quick berth up to the Open A, and then I let somebody talk me into moving up to semi-pro in 2007 and 8, or 6 and 7. I forget. I can't remember exactly the years.
It was 7 and 8 because I was. It was 7 and 8. I remember because I was in semi-pro in 08, in your first year there. So
okay. Yeah.
At least that's the way I remember it.
Yeah, it's just right around there. It don't matter. It's just a year. When you get this old, it don't matter.
Yeah.
All I remember is that year you were tearing it up.
Yeah, I think I won the first 2 tournaments of the year, and then got a third and another third. And I remember after that second tournament, we were in Mississippi at Hattiesburg, and I won that tournament. And I remember Nathan Brooks in the background yelling, "Art Brown, welcome to the pro class."
That's pretty awesome coming from Nathan.
Yeah, and those words just stuck out in my brain. I'm like, dang, I've of course, that was one of my goals, was to win my way up to the Open Pro class, and nice to be introduced to it by Nathan Brooks.
So, yeah, Nathan's a great guy. So, since then, you've had several Shooter of the Year titles and national wins and world championships and stuff like that. It's been pretty cool watching you come through it and keeping our eyes on you and setting you as a goal.
Thank you. I love it. The senior, as you know, I think this was your first year in the senior pro class, and you know what a fun class that is to shoot in. I mean, most of the guys are just awesome. They still know how to compete and still know how to have fun at the same time and not get too carried away. It's a great class, and it's been really good to me. I've shot in it for 4 years now. So. Oh,
I loved it myself.
I hope I can have 4 more years like the last 4. You never know. A lot of young talent coming up.
Oh, especially this year. I'm hearing rumors.
Who's coming up this year? Michael Braden?
That's one I'd heard. So, yeah.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I've heard quite a few really, really accomplished and good shooters coming up, and which is good. I welcome the competition. It just means that I've got to get smarter, I've got to get better, I've got to work harder. That's what it's all about. I mean, if it wasn't competition, we'd all get to the level that we are right now.
Truth. There's a lot of truth in that, Art. So, all that aside, you've been doing some hunting and had some success. We'd really like to hear about some of that.
Yeah, I had a really neat hunt this year. I've done a lot of elk hunting over the years, but it's mainly been in Colorado and then some in Idaho, which I love hunting in Idaho. It's tough on the knees. This year we went to New Mexico. We drew into an area, my brother and I. A friend kind of helped us out there, and he'd hunted that area before, and he come up for a half day and showed and said, "Good luck, you're on your own." And I was like, "Okay, great." So we learned the area pretty quick. We got into elk right away, and they were pretty silent. We hunted September 1st to the 14th. They were pretty silent, but as about 4th, 5th day rolled around, them elk started bugling. And it's got to be the best hunt I've ever been on. And when I say the best hunt, whether I shot an elk or not, it was the fact that we were into bugling bulls and chasing herd bulls every day. And we had 2 one morning, one evening, my brother and I both, that we didn't get into elk. Other than that, we were in elk every day, and the bugling and the chasing, and that's what it's all about. We love to chase bugling elk, whether we get one or not. Fortunately, on day, 8, I got between 2 herd bulls, and I was able, the one, he took his cows and left, and I got to run up, call the other one, which usually won't come into a cow call. And he just thought he was stealing the cow, and he came charging in. I was able to shoot just a beautiful elk, a 315-inch 6x6, and that was really, really awesome.
How far of a shot did you have on him, Art?
This is where elk hunting and hunting in general goes back to unknown 3D yardage. The reason I say that is people say, well, it doesn't matter. You're going to range everything you shoot anymore. It don't happen that way. That bull came so quick, I had no time to range him. I had to look at him. I said, he's 40 yards, and had to trust my number and make the shot. I guess in actuality, he was probably 39 yards, but without all the 3D practice and the shooting and the judging, I could see where a guy would miss it now. And he's so big, you could really undershoot one in a hurry.
So under pressure and in an instant decision, you were a yard off. Damn.
yeah. And I kind of said that too. I was like, well, he's big. I got a few yards each way, and my yardage, and it was getting dark. That's where it really makes it hard. So my number was really good, and the shot was really good. So that New Mexico was a blast. It wasn't real bad on my knees. The terrain wasn't real bad. It wasn't a lot of blowdowns, and I really, really enjoyed that hunt.
Well, and then you followed that up with something else, didn't you?
Yeah, we went on a moose hunt up in Canada. A good friend of mine, Ray Tenbrook, also known as Brook Trout, invited me on a moose. Somebody had fallen out and couldn't go, so went up there moose hunting. They told me when I was going up there that the outfitter did, and you go to Canada, you got to go with an outfitter to hunt moose. I typically prefer a do-it-yourself hunt, but in this situation, you have to do it different. So he said, this will be as close to elk hunting as you will ever get. And I was kind of like, yeah, sure it will. I don't believe it. Well, after hunting moose, and if they're not talking just like the elk, they're really, really, I mean, there's such vast terrain, and if the bulls aren't grunting and the cows aren't bellowing, it's just about impossible to shoot one. And it took us about 4 days for finally the moose started to talk, and it was just like elk hunting. And it was really a neat experience. I was fortunate enough to shoot a small bull with 2 hours left to go on the last day. We hunted till noon that day, and I shot that around 9 o'clock that morning. And that was the only bull I'd seen. We'd had a lot of bulls talking, grunting, and cows bellowing, but still doesn't mean you can call them in or get on them, and that's tough terrain. But yeah, that was really exciting. It was a 70-yard shot. It was a good shot, and God, them are big animals. It was really funny in the aspect as we'd set up. We had two different bulls grunting, and the guide was about 50 yards behind me, and we sat up for about 15 minutes. And I know it's the last day, and I'm really try to get us one. And after about 15 minutes, I turned around and started, like, let's go chase him. I'm not waiting for him anymore.
Right.
Well, 25 yards behind him stood a bull.
Oh, wow.
I was like, I said, oh, there he is. I said, he must know he's there, and I don't. Well, as I had to stare down with the moose, the guide started to do our cow call, and that moose looked at him, and I said, he has no idea that moose is right there behind him. So when distracted, I got to move and get a better angle, because it was a 76-yard shot, and I just didn't think I could lob the arrow over the alder brush and get it in there. So I got at a better angle, got my path cleared up, and the guide saw me moving, and he's like, puts his hand to his ear, like, do you hear them bulls grunting? And I'm pointing my finger kind of abruptly, like, right behind you, dummy. I said, I'm trying to tell him the moose is right behind you. And he's looking at me. He tells me later, he said, I thought you were wiping your nose. I said, no, I'm trying to tell you the moose is. So finally, I was at 70 yards, which I love an even number because I can use my pins. I don't have to do any gapping. So right. I draw on this moose, and I see the guide's eyes gets about as big as pancakes. So he steps out behind the tree right when I shoot the moose, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, you got it, awesome!" And so it was a pretty neat thing. He said, "I've guided a lot of moose hunters, but he said I'll never forget that arrow whizzing about 25 feet past me. I heard it going through the air the whole way."
Oh wow!
So
that would be cool.
That was a neat deal. I wish that we'd have been into talking moose the whole time, and it would have been a really spectacular hunt. But it turned out good, and it wasn't a giant moose, but it was a neat moose. And matter of fact, I went and picked up the meat today, and we're taking it home.
So you got a freezer full.
I got 3 coolers full of meat. Them moose are big, just like elk. I had, I gave them 317 pounds of meat to cut up. A little bit of bone in there, but yeah.
So
I've never tried moose. I heard it's great, and I can't wait to get home with some of that.
Well, I just want to know if you're going to have a barbecue in Foley for us.
You know, I hadn't thought about that, but my wife's sitting right here. If I can talk her into cooking up some, I think we could do that.
Well, you know, you do have the rolling Ramada.
Yes, that I do. That's I am accused of traveling in style to the shoots.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
No, it's
This is Jim. What kind of equipment are you using to kill all these beautiful animals?
I was using a Mathews Halon 6. Been a really neat bow. That bow is by far the fastest hunting bow I've ever shot, and real easy to tune. I'm shooting the Black Eagle arrows, and I was shooting the Trophy Taker broadhead. I was using the can't think of the name of the arrows I was using from Black Eagle. I just love them. I can put a broadhead on them. Don't have to line up the broadhead with the fletchings. They just shoot phenomenal. It's so easy for me to get my hunting equipment set up with the zombie slayers. So easy to set up with those. I was using a CBE sight and using a Scott trigger. I have to use an index trigger on them animals like that because sometimes I can't wait for a back tension to fire. So.
Right.
How do you...
no stabilizers out there, just too much weight.
You're not using any stabilizers at all, huh?
No, not out there. I've got a little bow handle I have on my bow to carry my bow. My bow's already 7 pounds. It's just, you're lugging your bow all day. I try to keep it as light as I can.
Gotcha.
Well, you said you're using a CBE sight, correct?
Right.
How do you transition from tournament mode using a single pin to a multi-pin for hunting?
Multi-pin's tough. I don't like them at all. But I also know that in moose and elk woods, a single pin absolutely does not work at all. I mean, all you're doing is moving your sight back and forth as stuff comes in and goes out. So I set up with a 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70 pin on my bow. And then I have a marker, I move it, and I make the bottom 3 pins 80, 90, and 100 should I have to shoot that far. I don't want to, but I've had to. A few years ago, further, I had to go to 110, and I shot an elk in Idaho at 110. It was a good shot and a lot of desperation, but so no, I don't like fighting the multiple pins, and it's a lot messier sight picture than a single pin. So I wish I could shoot a single pin, but I did it one time elk hunting. I said one day, and I said I'll never do that again.
That you said that Halon 6. That's not
right.
That's not the same bow that you shot 3D all year, correct?
No, I shot the HTR for the most part all year for ASA, and I actually did shoot a Halon X for one of the IBOs, and then at the Worlds I shot my HTR at the IBO Worlds also. Kind of hard switching back and forth from one bow to the other, and I've kind of wrestled with that this year.
You need me to tune that HTR for you for next year?
Oh, no, I think it's good.
Okay. Just thought I'd throw that out there, Art.
I think that's a buddy help right there.
Yeah. What are friends for?
You know, I've offered Tony Tazza to help adjust his bows too, but he won't let me.
That's another one that needs a tuning.
Got to rock tune it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could tree tune that one.
There's a few out there I can think of. But, my ASA was a good year again this year. I really enjoyed shooting the ASAs and had a pretty successful year. And this not quite as successful as I would have hoped, but it was a good year.
Well, cool. Something else we'd like to talk about is the BOWMASTERS and your target business. So fill us in on what's going on there.
Okay. Now, the target business, I used to have a business called Art 3D Target Repair. I recently sold that to a friend of mine, Greg Whedon, that lives here by me. Archery with him when I first got started. I've gotten so busy that I just don't have time to fix the targets anymore. I'm at the end of my rope. I just can't get everything done. So I sold it to him. He's going to travel and shoot the circuit just like I did and do targets all over the country. I have transitioned I've become a full-line dealer and I'm selling new targets and cores for Mackenzie. We're starting a new store online. It's called 3dcores.com. You can go on there if you want to order cores, but most of them will probably be sold at the shoots and stuff, and that's where most people pick them up and they save freight. But they can go on there and buy them online. So I'll be vending ASAs again this year. Last year we vended at the last 3 shoots, and this year we're going to vend at all the ASA tournaments, and we'll have all the tournament targets there and all the cores. So if anybody out there is needing any, just look us up or give us a call, and we'll get you fixed up.
Well, judging from what I saw, that kept you pretty busy at the ASA shoots. I mean, they were flying out of there like hotcakes.
Yeah, Illinois was crazy. I mean, it's a lot of targets. It was a really neat weekend, and I still shot well there, so I really enjoyed Illinois. But I knew there was a need for targets just from the used target business, so I kind of gradually got into this and got set up with Mackenzie and worked with Mike at the ASA and told him I thought there was a need there. Not everybody, he was selling all his used ranges, but there's still a lot of people wanting and needing targets, so we worked it out where I could set up there, and I think it even surprised me the amount of success that we had with it last year.
Now, do you tend to sell more individual stuff or whole ranges? What's your niche there?
At the shoots, I sold by far more individuals, 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. I did have, after the Illinois shoot, a club come up and order 30 targets, and I was going to Wisconsin afterwards to repair, bought them off up by real close to Chicago for them, and after the Kentucky shoot, I dropped in Michigan to a club that ordered them. So it's still more individuals, but I love selling the full ranges. It's a little less work.
Well, I was just going to ask Art, when you got your business going like that, is it hard for you to really concentrate and keep focused on your shooting, or do you once you get out there with your bow in your hand, do you kind of leave that business behind you?
Yeah, when I'm actually shooting, I don't think anything, my wife is great. She takes care of the booth, sells everything, and got some friends too. But I'm on the range, I don't think anything at all about selling targets or cores. I'm out there to shoot, and that's all I can think about. Now, it kind of, in a sense, it cuts into my preparation a little bit. If I'm having a little bit of bow issue and need to go shoot it, I don't have as much time to go do that. But at the same time, I get to the shoots earlier, was setting up for the target stuff. I get to go and look at the ranges and get dialed into that terrain a little more. So that works good.
Now the secret comes out.
Is that something you get to do a lot of at home? Do you have ranges set up that you practice just looking at to judge yardage?
Yeah, I'll have a complete range set up. The 20 ASA targets we're shooting now, and I rarely shoot them, to be very honest with you. I mainly just judge them. I'll spend 3 or 4 days a week just looking at targets, and when I say look at them, I go out there and I judge them, and I play a game, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to try to judge well. So 3 or 4 times a week I'll look at targets, and I don't shoot them, and I'll probably start 2 weeks before the shoot, start shooting them some. But I just want to work on my yardage, because if you know how far they are, it's a whole lot easier to shoot.
Yeah, most definitely. Because I think Metropolis was a pretty good example of yardage judging, was it not?
Yeah.
And where I'm coming at from that is on Saturday is the number of arrows that I heard flying through the trees.
Yeah, there's always those targets that just fool people in the settings and stuff, and I hope my range is as hard as I can and soft as I can, and trying to put myself in a scenario of converging and convexing lane and different lanes that eliminated all that, where I can make the adjustment on the fly. Dark range with no sunlight versus a range with sunlight. More of those things that you can look at, the more it helps you under the pressure of when.
Well, Art, when you judge a target, when you're out there just practicing, what is satisfactory to you? Half yard, or do you want, is a good day where you hit all of them right on the nose, or?
Yeah, that never happens.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My goal. Go ahead.
No, I said thank you. That helps. Helps my my self-esteem a little bit better, because I mean, there's days when, you know, I'm 2 yards off or when I'm practicing, but I'm glad to hear that even the best doesn't hit them right on the nose every time. So.
No, heck, you know, I mean, my goal is not to be, if I'm shooting lower 12s, is more than a half yard weak, and I don't want to be over 2 yards high. So I got a 2.5 yard window in there. Obviously, the goal is to stay in the 10 ring and pick up some 12s along the way. So playing the game and how you use the 10 ring has a lot to do with all that. So.
Well, you've had a lot of success yourself in the IBO also. What's the difference in your strategy between ASA and IBO shoots?
IBO is really unique, and I think what's tough about the IBO is you don't get on a set range where you just go from lane to lane to lane and you start getting dialed in. The IBO, you may shoot one down the hill, and the next one may be across the hill, the next one may be up the hill, the next one may be across the valley, so you never really get to get a rhythm. And I feel like you really have to be a target judger rather than a ground judger. And they have a larger mixture of targets in the mix. You may shoot a javelina one shot and shoot a huge standing elk the next shot. So things are changing a lot faster. It's hard to get in a rhythm. So I've always said that I thought IBO was more of a judger's game. And you're shooting centers, so you know you can miss a little bit each way. And then those lower 12 shooters are so accustomed to aiming low anyway. So it's a different game for sure, which I love it. And it kind of hurt me this year. I didn't get to judge. Whenever I was leaving home, I was leaving to go to an ASA, so I was judging the Mackenzies, and then I'd be doing work afterwards, and then I'd go to an IBO, and really didn't get to look at Rineharts and judge them like I had in years past. So that's part of the selling the 3D target repair business, where I can come home after the ASAs and get myself prepared to go shoot an IBO and actually look at some targets, or more targets this year. So that just falls on me, but I do really, really enjoy the IBO at the same time. So really two neat venues with the ASA and the IBO.
Well, outside of the IBO and the ASA, what else do you like to compete in?
Well, you know, this year we had the first tournament, the OPA. And going into that, I just didn't think I was going to enjoy it. It's known distance. They had an orange dot on the 12, and they were shot Rineharts, and then shot on the 14s, and they were painted, and you had to call the 12 or the 14. I didn't really know what to think of that. I wasn't excited about it, but I got to say that when it was said and done, I really enjoyed that shoot. We shot a lot of really neat shots. We may shoot some shots at 13 yards with a 28, 30-degree cut down the hill or up the hill. Excuse me. So that was and we shot a moose as far as 83 yards. So it was a real different venue, and it was pretty neat. If anybody gets a chance to shoot that, I guess it would be a lot like Redding, California, which I've never shot Redding, but I did enjoy the OPA.
That's something we've got on our list this year is for Redding. When it comes to OPA, kind of leads me into something that we've been following on Facebook this week. I don't know how much you stay on Facebook, but OPA was a $500 entry fee, and there's a big to-do on Facebook right now about the Vegas championship line shoots going to $500. After all, everybody wants the large payouts and everything, but then they raise the entry fee, and there's a lot of people fussing about it. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's confusing, for a lot of the sponsors, being the OPA was new, didn't pay. So, I ended up putting my money in, and I said, if it's for the good archery, then if I'm donating, so be it. Fortunately, I didn't donate, but that's the fine line there. We all do want the bigger payouts, but to have bigger payouts, we've got to ante up more money. Half the people like it, and half the people don't. So I don't know what the solution is to that. I know that if you're fortunate enough to win a national tournament, you'd like to get paid like you won a national tournament, and you don't want to walk away with $1,000, $2,000, and you've got $1,000 or more invested to get there, and your entry fees and everything. So, at the same time, you don't want it to be a rich man's sport. Only the guy that's got money can afford to do it. So, I don't know how you solve that dilemma. I don't mind paying it. If I didn't think I could be competitive in it, then I wouldn't pay the entry and I wouldn't go.
Right. Well, that kind of leads into the BOWMASTERS thing too, as far as what's going on there and promoting our class.
Yeah, well, we're obviously this time of year we're a little stagnant on BOWMASTERS. Not a lot going on, and but things will get rolling on that pretty soon again. Of course, my lovely wife and I started BOWMASTERS, and Jim, we talked to you about BOWMASTERS ahead of time and some thoughts and stuff, and finally took it on, and we started BOWMASTERS to promote the seniors, because I think we kind of get left behind. Not that people don't recognize us or know us, but the mainstream media has left us behind a little bit. So that's why we want to promote the seniors, because there's a lot of great archers in there. It's the largest class in 3D archery by far. At the ASAs we average 80 shooters per shoot, versus the Open pros are averaging 40 to 50, the 5 to 30. So typically the senior pro class is larger than the Open pro and the women's put together. And I just didn't feel like we were getting shared of the credit for what we do out there. And at the same time, we didn't have a venue to really promote our sponsors. And as you guys know, without sponsors, we and our sport aren't going anywhere. So having the sponsors is a great thing. Now, if you win a tournament, we try to promote, and then we do an interview with them. They we'll put if they're shooting for Hoyt, New Breed, PSE, whoever it be, we put their background behind them so they can promote their sponsors and list what equipment they were using and get them some credit for what equipment they're using and what they accomplished at the same time. We started a thing with a Legends interview. We did some interviews with Randall Jones, Burley Hall, Charles Blankenship, these guys that have been around forever, and then maybe aren't as competitive as they used to be, but they got so much to give to archery. And these guys are what made archery what it is today, so we can have the venue to shoot in that too.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I really enjoyed
them. Yeah, they're fun. Them are neat guys. I mean, I've enjoyed shooting with them, and they got so much knowledge to share.
Yes, they do. I was really impressed with the Derry Knoll interview you did.
Yeah, Tony. I've had some guys helping me do some of that because I can't get to it all. And Tony and Derry are really good friends, and that was just a real natural interview for them to do together. And I thought Derry interviewed really well. He's a neat man. He's a lot of success in this game.
I've seen him around the circuit for the last 10 years or so, and I've known who he was, but I had no idea the depth that went with him. And when I first got into it, Derry was the man back in 2005. I mean, he was tearing it up. I mean, and he still is a great shooter. He just got some issues and age and eyes and everything fight us. But he's won a lot of stuff. Is either he was winning shooter of the year or Tom Crow was winning it. And them two went back and forth for 8-10 years there as to who won shooter of the year. So, and Derry's a great shooter, and he had some
pretty good tournaments again this year where he started rebounding. So you never know. I mean, look at Tom Crow.
Oh, right.
Just wonder.
Wow.
Yeah, he just went through some surgery, too, and everything on his back. Have you talked to him recently?
I haven't talked to him. I've seen a little bit of stuff on Facebook and made some comments. And hopefully Tom will get back to form and back where, at the Classic, he couldn't hardly. We did the interview afterwards. He had to take a break and sit down because his back was bothering him so much.
Yeah.
But the old coot just come out there and kicked our butt. So
yeah, he did. Yes, he did.
How about Bill McCall? Have you talked to him recently?
I have not talked to Bill, but I do know that he went to Colorado elk hunting.
Okay, so he's
right on.
All right.
How do you fall like 40 feet from a tree and 45 days later be elk hunting? I don't get that.
Because you're one bad dude.
That's kind of like you landed in the hands of God.
Yeah. I call it. Our new nickname for him is Rubber Man.
Rubber Man. We'll start calling him Gumby.
Yeah, he got to be. I mean, to take a fall like that. So, wow.
Art, I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit, but you said you started back in the ASA in what, did you say the late 90s?
No, 2005, I believe.
05. That's when you first started, was in 05.
Yep.
Okay, so you pretty much have been at the top of your game no matter what class you've been in ever since you started.
Yeah, it's been pretty good to me. I went out of there pretty quick. Open B, I may have won out too quick within the first tournament. I skipped the Open A. If I had overs, I would have go back and I would have won my A and then went to semi-pro. I was influenced by some people that said, "No, I'll skip that and go to semi-pro." But I shot good my first year in semi-pro. I finished 10th for shoot of the year, and it was just a couple $100 short of winning out. And then the next year, I got a little maturity under me and self-confidence, maybe I should say, and had a really good semi-pro year. And I shot in the Open Pros for 5 years, and it took me 2.5 years to learn that I belonged there, because I thought I had to do too much shooting with the Open Pros. And then once I learned that I belonged there, I did pretty good. And I think I had 9 top 10s in those 5 years, and none the first year and a half, I think. So once I got in that top 10, I'm like, I can do this. So it was a mental transition. Even though I was 45 years old when I went into the Open Pro, I still wasn't mentally ready for it.
Man, the conversation we could have about that. I mean,
how do you, when you talk about the mental transition and that kind of things, how do you approach things like that mentally? I mean, is it something you work on as far as anything like, mental management like Lanny Basham, that kind of thing? Or is it just you kind of do your own deal? What do you do?
I've listened to the Lanny Basham tapes. I think more than anything is you got to have self-confidence. And a good friend of mine, and you guys probably know him, Dean Pridgeon.
Oh, yeah.
Dean just tell you, Art, either you got it or you don't got it.
How many times are you going to shoot that thing?
Dean breaks everything down so simply, and he's like, either you got it or you don't. And it is, I don't really even think about it anymore. It's just kind of there. I mean, it just happens. I don't have to say, all right, now I got to mentally do this here, I got to do that there. It's just kind of there right now, and it's been there for quite a few years. So, I really don't know how I approach it. I've got a hunger to win, and I love to practice, and I love to compete, and so I guess that carries me through.
Well, that's something that I struggled with this year, being my first year there. Feeling like I belonged, and it took me all year to get to that point. So,
right.
I fully understand.
I understand that, and I do understand that because I did it in the Open Pro. I had 5 rough years. I don't want to say rough years, but I had 5 years of education of the Open Pro, getting ready for the Senior Pro. So when I came into the Senior Pro, I wasn't intimidated in any shape, form, or fashion it actually made my game easier. I didn't feel like I had to hit every 12. And in the Open Pro, you get caught up and shoot 12s and thinking you got to do too much. So the course management came much better for me in the Open and the Senior Pro.
And that's the name of the game, especially on those ranges we shot this year.
Yeah, and I like the ranges they gave us. I like the tougher range because I like for people to have to judge. You have to play the yardage game, and I like the tough ranges. I don't care if all our scores are 2 up. If that's a high score, we're all shooting the same ranges. But I like seeing us use the whole gauntlet of the yardages.
Yeah, we definitely did that.
And with all due respect, I like a tough range also, but I do not like 49-yard javelinas. They can take those and do something with them.
Hey, be thankful. In the last years, the 10 rings a lot bigger than they used to be. They used to be 3.25 and 4-inch 10 ring, and now they're a 5-inch 10 ring, and the 12s are way bigger. So,
yeah, they used to be dime-sized.
Yeah, they used to be really small, and I used to set them up there long, and that was a scary, scary target. As a matter of fact, the javelina, the coyote, the Russian boar, the warthog, and another one that had a lot smaller 10 rings than they do today. So I think that's part of the reason for higher scores today, too, because all the 12s are 1.5 12s now, and you can call the upper, and you got bigger 10 rings. You got a consistent 10 ring, a 5-inch 10 ring on all the targets. So I think that's all coming from my target repair business.
Well, that's something I noticed a lot this year was guys calling uppers, and it's definitely changed the game. And you know, there's some real strategy in that upper.
Yeah, and I've transitioned to it more myself. As a matter of fact, the second day at the Classic this year on Sunday, or Saturday it was, I called 20 uppers. I never ever saw myself doing that.
You called everyone? You called all uppers?
I didn't plan on, but it was just a good game plan that was working.
Hey.
What made you decide to do that? Was it just how the targets were positioned, or what made you decide that?
It was, I've been over-judging in practice, and on Friday I called half uppers, and I was hitting more uppers than I was the others, so I just said, you know what, if I'm going to over-judge, I'm just going to call the uppers, and maybe add another half yard or yard, and just did that all weekend, and it worked really well, and it gets rid of them low 8s and low 5s, and it kept me in the 10 ring for the most part. Yeah. So I wasn't, when I was shooting, I wasn't too worried about going low.
Now, when you're calling an upper, are you holding center, or are you shooting at it, or holding lower, or how's that work?
I'm cutting 5 yards and aiming 6 inches over it.
Yeah, I'm calling BS on that one.
Yeah, right.
I wrote that down in my notes to make sure and do that this year.
Dang, I didn't want to give away all my secrets, but I am aiming center.
Art, we got an old buddy around here we used to shoot with. He hasn't shot in quite a while, but years ago. But he always said when you go, everything's 43 yards. You just hold a little high or a little low.
That's right. That's right. No, I'm usually adding a yard and aiming center. It's really relaxing aiming there. I'm not worried about falling off the bottom. It's an easier shot. And some targets, there's creases on them that makes them aim toward the upper. And, some of the mountain lions, that crease goes right up that shoulder and points right to the upper. So some of them is just a natural to shoot at it.
But
and some of them are out of fear of shooting, like the mountain lion, of shooting a low 5, which is a quarter below the 12.
Yeah, right. I called upper on him both days. But I've shot that low 12 for so long, it's so weird to hold up in there in the center now. You're
just such an old hand.
No, I'm shooting ASA.
And the IBO would help you with that, because IBO, you start to learn to aim a little more centers.
So, see, up around here, all we used to shoot was IBO until some of us started going to the ASAs. Then we had to change to that game. Yep. And now going back the other way, it's kind of weird.
It's hard to do.
Yeah.
It is hard. It's a different mental approach for if you go with ASA one weekend and IBO the next, you got to transition real fast and get to the next game for sure.
So, are you planning on doing any indoor this year, or are you strictly focused on the upcoming ASA season, or what you got going upcoming?
If I was going to answer it right now, I'll focus on the ASAs and the IBOs. I don't know if I'll do any indoor or not. It just depends what I got working for bows, if how confident I feel about it. I hate to put too much effort in it for me personally, because I don't want to mentally burn myself out and then be wore out when it comes to 3D season. And it's just, I don't know if you guys are like me, but when the Classic was done and the IBO and the Classic was done, I was glad to be done for the year.
Oh, I was too.
I was ready for a break.
I went,
Yeah, I mean, that's 13 with the OPA. That's 14 tournaments right there. And, and I did sneak up and shoot Kansas City last year, and not very well, albeit. I think all of you guys hammered on me and picked on me and put it on Facebook.
I never said a word.
So as your whitetail season started up there?
It started October 1st.
First, yeah.
I have not been out yet. I'm trying to get my land prepped and everything done where I can start hunting instead of working. So I probably won't get out till about the 15th or so. I don't like to get out too early and just get it all scented up and all the deer spooked and kind of wait. I like to wait a little bit.
I'm kind of the same way. I'd really like to go, but it's really not the good time yet.
Yeah,
it's not, and it's hard to get excited, and I don't want to shoot the wrong deer. Actually, a lot of our good deer don't even start showing up till mid-October, later October. I don't get too excited yet.
That, and I don't care much for the skeeters.
Yeah, we don't have those down here in Oklahoma.
Right.
No, we really don't. We don't have mosquitoes. You hardly ever see one.
Really?
No, we got enough ticks and chiggers to carry you away.
Well, up here,
so
our
ticks have chiggers, don't they?
Yeah. And our mosquitoes have ticks.
They might have, but Oklahoma really doesn't have mosquitoes, which is really nice.
It's that dry climate.
It must have had that dry, nasty heat. Summer heat kills them all, for sure.
So, do you run a lot of trail cameras, Art?
Yeah, I think I got 10 of them out running right now.
And how often do you check those?
Well, once a week.
Once a week?
Right now, I've just got them on. In Oklahoma, it's legal to bait and stuff. And I just got them on feeders, just trying to see anything decent will show up. But I'm doing my brush hogging now, and here in the next week, their scrapes will start showing up, and a little pre-rut going on, and I'll get them cameras on scrapes, and that's where I find I don't even get it. What I got on feeders and going, I'll see a few real good ones, but not too many. But the scrapes is where my big ones will show up, and that's where I'll find what I got for deer.
So do you pretty much, when you get ready to hunt, you have a deer in mind, one that you're either going to shoot him or you're not going to shoot one?
Yeah, I kind of make me a little hit list.
Yeah.
My list is getting pickier every year.
What are your bag limits down there?
You can shoot 2 bucks. Last year I did shoot 2 the first time, and I just got to be 15 plus years. I shot a 143 15th, real mature. Then on the 25th, I shot a 170-inch mainframe 10, but a 15-point. So my year was done. Hence, that's why I came to Kansas City and shot.
Well, maybe you can do that again this year, and we'll get to see you up here with us.
Maybe. We've got a few good ones on camera, I'm hoping. But I know that usually takes a rut to get them going. So, never know. I'd like to make it up if I could fill out my tag.
You could always buy a Missouri tag. I'm sure somebody around here could probably direct you.
I didn't know if I had any friends up there.
I don't know, after the butt whip you put on us all year last year.
Hell, Art, I live here and ain't got any friends up here, so.
Yeah. People change over whitetails.
Yes,
promise
they do.
you.
Oh man. Oh man.
Yeah, I get a lot of friends. They see pictures of deer. I got a lot of friends when it comes whitetail season.
Yeah, I've lost a couple
Then they
friends
tell me,
on
like-
it too.
Well, the deer,
No
are
doubt.
definitely starting to move up here. I had one of the boys that works at one of the elevators. He was going home last night and had a doe run into the side of his car. So he left his car home this morning and drove his pickup and hit a deer with his pickup on the way back to work this morning. So you got 2 in less than 12 hours or something like that. So they're starting to move. So yeah.
Yeah, tell him to stay away from lottery tickets.
Yeah,
No doubt.
So, what's next on the agenda, Art? Just whitetail and then...
Just whitetail and brush hogging and wood cutting, and then it'll be time to get targets out and start judging. But, I'll do whitetail here. If I have some success here, then I'll run up to Nebraska and hunt with my brother a little bit up there. I did that last year and had a blast. And but if I haven't harvested something good here, I'll just stay here and keep hunting here. So, like I said, I got a few what you call swamp donkeys running around, and I killed a 181 years ago on a piece of property I had that I sold. And I said I'd never probably ever beat that deer in Oklahoma, but I think I got one here that might beat him. So
Oh, right.
it's kind of exciting that he's out there. It makes it a lot easier. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier to pass the little ones.
Oh, heck yeah. If you know he's there, it does.
Yeah.
And you've
So now if a 150,
Go ahead.
no, I said now if a 150 walks out, he might get a pass.
Man, that's a tough one to pass.
It is. Many years ago, I passed a 180 trying to harvest a 242 in Kansas.
Oof.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done that.
And I know it was 242 because I actually had a shot on the animal and was not able to harvest it. And the neighbor shot it. I wounded him, and the neighbor shot him the first day of rifle season. And the pleasure of scoring that deer and see it every time I went to his house on his wall.
Yeah, that'd be kind of bad.
That's not good.
I'm glad he got it. It didn't go to waste.
So how many acres do you have basically to hunt on? Or I mean, is it?
I've got a pretty good parcel here. It's 1,040 acres.
Oh,
I knew that was coming. Oh,
yeah, that's that you could put up a few stands on that. That's
Yeah, and more so than even that is that the fact that I got a chance if I let the deer go to get age on him. I've got like one buck. He's coming in, and I know he's a 7+-year-old deer. I've been passing him for the last 4 years, and it's like wow. And most people don't get the opportunity to let a deer grow like that, and I do get that. Now, I do get people on my board shoot some deer I wish they wouldn't, but you're always going to get that. But I've got my neighbors, quite a few of my neighbors in on deer management and what to pass and try to harvest by antlers, and I keep fighting the fight, let's say.
Yeah. Up here, you can have like 250 acres or something like that to hunt. I don't know how many deer I've let go and then just let them walk, and 15, 20 minutes later, the direction they walk to, especially in season, you hear it boom, yeah. And,
yeah.
Then they're driving over, driving over by your truck to show you the big deer they shot.
So Art, what kind of stands do you use down there?
Well, I've used a mixture of stands, but lately I just went out with a new company, really making a neat stand. It's called Out on a Limb. This guy is creative, innovative. He's out of western Oklahoma, Enid, and he makes a set of climbing sticks that's got a 5-foot base, and then there's 2-foot sections, and they're built on knuckles. And you can climb any crooked tree you want to with them climbing sticks. They're the most awesome thing. He has a hang-on stand that's just awesome. A little heavy, but I mean, as comfortable a stand as you'll ever get in and solid. And then he has a 15-foot ladder stand that's just, again, awesome with a big platform. Some of the best instructions I've ever seen, and can go out on any limb the way it adjusts and stuff. It's pretty amazing on them. So, yeah, if anybody gets a chance, check them out. It's called outOnalimb.com. Some really neat stands made out of all aluminum. Cool stuff.
So where you're at, you've got plenty of timber for regular hang-on tree stand type stuff. I know there's some places out in western Oklahoma that, you know, there's not hardly anything more than scrub brush and, you know, things like that out there.
Yeah. No, in eastern Oklahoma, it's real hilly and a lot of timber, and big timber. It
reminds
me
of the
like
Ozarks.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot like that. So, yeah, we got, like, my land's 60% timber and 40% open. So there's plenty of places. And kind of have to learn just to hunt funnels and stuff up there. It's hunt the top of the hills, and he uses the ravines as your funnels to hunt deer. If I showed people where I shot the 2 deer last year, they'd say, not shoot them deer here in the wide open. I said, oh, yes, I did. It's just not where you expect to harvest a mature deer.
I saw it with my own 2 eyes.
That's right. You did see it. I forgot that. But, you know, when you saw it, did you think, oh, no, he didn't really?
No, I when you told me where it was, I looked at it and said, well, you know, that's something you'd have to put some time in to figure them out, to know where to be. You know,
right?
So it was.
It just came through years. I'd had that property for 10, 12 years, and I didn't really start hunting it until like 3 years ago. And I started learning that property and how the deer moved. I just didn't hunt it very much, and it ended up being that's where all my big deer are. I just had a lot of education. You know, you can get a piece of property, and it can take you 10, 15, 20 years to really learn how to hunt it.
Yeah, it can. In this day and age, if you don't own it, it's hard to keep up with that. You know, that much time spent on one piece of land.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
And nowadays, especially around here, you know, you might get 4 or 5 years into a lease or a family's piece, and somebody passes away, and all of a sudden you lose that piece, and there's 4 or 5 years of experience where you just got to start over somewhere else. So,
yeah, that would be tough. That would be tough. Tough but exciting. It's always exciting to try to figure out how to hunt a new piece of property too.
Yeah.
Art, are you good on time?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Because sometimes we can get talking around here and not be paying any attention to how much time we've held you up.
Oh, no, you're not holding me up. My wife, I think she went in to get ice cream. I'm in my truck.
But one of the things that we do like to get from folks is, you know, your regular guys that are out there that, you know, they go hunting during hunting season and you know, maybe pick their bows up, you know, just a few weeks before season. What advice would you give some of these people who may want to give getting into competitive archery a try?
And I would tell them to, one, get a bow that fits them, get it set up to fit them, and get with the right equipment, obviously. This game's hard enough. If you don't have the right equipment, it's really tough. It's an extension of your hunting season. If you really love to hunt, try the 3D archery because it's going to be a natural transition. I got into 3D archery just kind of to extend my hunting season. And today you could ask me would I rather go on that elk hunt where I shot that 315-inch bull or go to a tournament? I'm so addicted to it, I'm going to pick the tournament. So
that's awesome.
It could be. I would. Well, one, you got a chance to make money. But two, I mean, you get to sit there and shoot and compete and be completely focused for 2 days in a row for 8 hours. I mean, that's fun when you get yourself to focus like that.
Yeah, it's not just one day, is it? It's 2 good days.
No, no, and I try to explain that to people. I like, okay, you know how you made that shot on that animal and you harvested that deer you were after for a long time, what it felt like? I said, you can get multiples of those each day shooting a 3D tournament by judging that yardage and putting that arrow in an 1.5-inch circle that you're trying to put it in. I said, it's a great feeling of accomplishment and success, and it's as good as how much work you want to put into it.
Yeah, and it can also drive you mad.
It just keeps working you harder.
Been there.
It does. It's like I told you at the Classic, there ain't no quit in me.
No. I don't think any of us out there got any quit in us. There's usually something else that'll make us quit. It's either health or lost your traveling partner or something, but it's usually not because we don't want to compete.
What about guys who've been working their way up and they're wondering if it's time to go pro, or one of their goals has always been to go pro? What advice would you give them on that?
My advice is, when you're way up, you're going to feel better about yourself. If you go up to the pro class and you haven't won your way up, if you haven't won up to semi-pro and won a ticket to it, I think in that case you may always doubt yourself. You know, even for me, it was nice. They said, "You shoot pro." I said, "Well, I won my way there, so I had no choice. I had to go there," and it's a validation.
It is.
Not so much with the senior pros, because you got guys that are coming out of Open A, they're coming out of semi-pro, they're coming out of senior Open that want to give it a try. They don't have to earn a ticket up there. They earn their ticket by age. And
ding, ding, ding,
so,
ding, ding.
Yeah. So it isn't that they have to earn their way up. You know, I've watched over the years when I was shooting Open Pro, people come up and you knew in your heart they got in for the wrong reason, that they wanted to go home and say, I shoot the pro class or whatever. And I've just seen people come up there and just absolutely melt down. And you feel bad for them because they don't realize how much pressure is on them when they get out there shooting with the Andy Evans, Dan McCarthy's, Levi Morgan's, Jeff Hopkins and stuff. It's intimidating. Even after 4 years of me shooting, or 3 years, and I went up there in the first tournament, I shot with Jeff Hopkins, and I was friends with Jeff. I was still intimidated. Dang it. And to read about these people and then go shoot with them, it's another thing.
It is.
So how do you have some kind of system or something you tell yourself, or how do you deal with it?
I just try to, I think the easiest way to do it is just act like you're in your backyard shooting with your buddies, if you're allowed to do that. I don't feel too much pressure anymore. And I don't know if it's from the years of shooting the Open Pro, and this is going to be my 5th year in Senior Pro, so 10 years of shooting pro, if I've got rid of some of the nerves and the pressure. I'm not sure, but when I was really nerved up, I try to say, just another shot in your backyard. Just enjoy it. Just block everybody else out. And, I think my first few shoot-offs I was a little nervous, but no, I just absolutely relish the chance to shoot a shoot-off, and I don't feel nervous, and I think you're so busy thinking of what you have to do versus thinking about the pressure. Because there's no time out there. You're calculating other people's score. You're trying to see what you have to shoot the next target for, or the next target for, setting your sight. There's really no time or to get nervous, in my opinion.
How about that Senior Pro shoot down at the Classic this year, Art? Was that a nail biter or what?
Boy, did them guys get it done. That was really, I was really impressed. I almost said I was glad there, but I did want to be there. But they performed awesome.
Oh, man.
Some new names, too. See John Clifton up there shooting. That was awesome.
Yeah, John's a great guy.
Eddie Sullivan made it out there. Tom was there again, obviously. I don't remember who else had made it. It wasn't me. I knew that.
Was it Tony?
No, Tony and I got 6 and 7.
That's right. It was Ray Young.
Ray Young and
Eddie Sullivan.
Roger Willett.
Tom Crow and John Clifton.
Yeah, congrats to them.
Roger Willett's a good guy. I like him a lot.
All them guys are good guys.
I've got to shoot with him in Vegas both the last 2 years in a row, and was only a bail away from him at Nationals on indoor stuff. But he's an absolute great guy. He really is.
He's a very calming guy. He's calm to be around.
He is. He is very much so.
And I think he makes you calm. My first national win came down to the final arrow at Columbus, Georgia, back in 2013, and it was between Roger Willett and I. And I didn't really know much about Roger. And again, afterwards, Nathan Brooks come up to me and he said, "Do you know who you just beat?" I said, "Roger Willett." "You know who he is?" I said, "Not a dang clue." Wow. He said, "He is this and this and this and this and this." And I said, "Well, I didn't know any of that, and it don't matter. We were just shooting one arrow at that point." So,
ignorance is bliss sometimes, right?
Well, yeah, it is. Yeah, I didn't have to be intimidated by him or anything. So, but and we've become pretty good friends and enjoy shooting with Roger.
I haven't got the chance to shoot with him yet. I've talked to him several times and visited with him on the range, but I haven't shot with him yet. So.
He rarely makes a bad shot, and he's learning this yardage judging stuff. He asked me for a few tips. I wish I hadn't told him.
It sure didn't take him long to pick up on that, did it?
No, in 2013 he shot for 2 or 3 or 4 of them, and then I think the next year he didn't shoot any. And then he came back again and I guess he got some more free time. So
yeah,
that cat, the cat can make it. He can shoot a bow, that's for sure.
Yes, he can.
Well, when are you going to help a brother out and give me some tips?
He just did a while ago.
Whenever you want them. Whenever you want them. I give them to you all the time.
I'm just hacking on you, buddy.
He said to...
so far it hasn't helped.
He said to take 2 weeks off and then sell all your equipment and start playing golf.
There you go.
That's what he said.
That sounds like fun. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, I never picked up golf because I'd probably
I don't know. I hear golf is worse than archery.
Yeah.
And plus,
golf and 3D archery are the same game, and that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, but Pib would look funny in knickers and saddle Oxfords.
Could you wear cut-off sleeves?
And shirts with sleeves. Wouldn't that throw him off?
I got a visual on that. Don't like it.
So, Art, kind of on the ASA, one of the big trends now is a lot of people jumping in the known classes and stuff. We've talked about it on different podcasts and everything. What's your feeling on I guess the known 50 could be the next known pro class or something like that. What's your feeling on the known classes?
I think there's a place for it. It's not for me, but I think there's a place for it. Obviously, not everybody has the same resources. They're the same as far as land to have targets and ranges and to buy the targets, et cetera, et cetera. It's not the same as unknown. For me, I'd much rather watch an unknown shoot down than I would a known shoot down. Now, the bringing of the Jesse Broadwaters and that Sergio came over from wherever and shot. I mean, there's been some names in there and people like Chris Perkins. I mean, there's some big names in there shooting, and I think it's brought a lot more attention to it. I think it's been good for archery. I think it's been good for the ASA. Again, it's not my cup of tea, but I think there's a place for it. I hope that it doesn't replace the unknown 50 pro class. I hope that isn't where it all goes to, because I love out there, in a known class, you're going to make the decision to shoot in the shoot down for a 12 or a 14. You know how far it is. In the unknown class, that's a lot of risk shooting for a 14 when you don't know how far it is. I think there's a lot more strategy and course management that comes into play in those shoot downs. So that's what I enjoy about the game.
So how important do you think it is for somebody who wants to achieve a high level like you have to have targets to look at and to shoot at? And is it more important to have them to judge, or is it more important to have them to figure out how to shoot those targets?
Definitely more important to figure out, to learn how to judge them. That's by far more important than shooting them. You can learn to shoot them pretty darn quick. There's on Mackenzie's, there's always muscle and definition to go off from aim on the target. So I think that they're definitely more important to have them to judge, in my opinion. So,
and if somebody's wanting to get targets, how can they get a hold of you for that? And do you ship those targets, or is it better to figure out a way to pick them up, or how does that work?
Yeah, either they should come pick them up, or I should deliver them, or take them to a shoot, because to ship a whole range is very, very expensive.
Right.
It's crazy the cost of shipping anymore. So that's why the shoots are so popular with the targets, because people don't have to pay the shipping, and they can pick them up right there from me and take them home. But they can always contact me in Art 3D Targets at 918-521-7142. And they can also go to 3D Target Cores online, and that's getting all built up with targets and everything. Not that I think we'll sell that much from it, but people can see the prices and what targets they can get and stuff. So,
do you usually have targets available at all times?
Yes, I have most of the targets right now. I'm getting ready to do a run to McKenzie in Iowa here, probably early November, and restock for next year. And I'm probably having about 300-400 targets in inventory and probably 1,000 cores. So then I can just replenish out of my warehouse and always have inventory for people when they're looking for them.
Do you be coming up right up I-35?
I think I do.
Well, give me a holler. Maybe some of us get together and go have some lunch.
Or buy some targets.
That might happen.
Buy some targets.
Okay. I'll be delivering targets. No extra charge to deliver there.
We'd be honored to buy you lunch.
Yep. Yeah. No extra charge for delivering the targets as long as we buy lunch. That works.
Yeah, there we go. That's a fair deal. So,
hey, can we go?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Art. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Nope, I forgot what I was saying.
Okay.
You see, you're pro.
Can you go over your sponsors again and kind of highlight those for us?
Yeah, first and foremost, I've been shooting with Mathews for the last 10 years. Black Eagle arrows. I shoot Shrewd stabilizers, CB sights, Scott releases, Alpen binoculars. I use Bohning vanes, last chance archery using nerve presses, high demand archery grips. I use specialty archery peep sights and their verifiers. I know I'm missing some. Rinehart, Morel, 3D Country. And I think that's all of them. Okay. Kind of caught me off guard there.
Do you shoot stock strings on your bow, or do you have some string company?
Yeah, with Mathews, we shoot factory strings with Mathews.
Okay.
So if you had a young guy that's coming up and he's wanting to be sponsored and everything else, what advice would you give him to be able to go out and number one, get those sponsors, and then what advice would you give them on how to act and to be of the best benefit to those people who believe in him and are sponsoring him?
That's in my opinion, that's a great question. One is, and what I see today, the trend is somebody goes shoots one or two tournaments or a half a year, and they think that they should be sponsored. We all want to be sponsored. But I think that they have to get some success underneath their belts. And from that point, start looking at sponsorships. But I think the best way to be sponsored is have results, be an absolute professional, dress like a professional, act like a professional, talk like a professional.
I'm out.
You know what I tell my sponsors is, I'm going to represent you the way I represent myself. I'm not acting this way to represent you. This is the way I want to represent me, and you fall underneath that umbrella of myself. And how I'm perceived to me is very important, especially in archery is a very small community, and it doesn't take long to make a butt of yourself if you are a butt. So,
yep, it doesn't take long at all.
You got to be, and you got to have ways. Sure, we all want to be sponsored, but what can I do for you if I'm going to be sponsored by you? I mean, I've got to make it legitimate. For Black Eagle Arrows, example, they're a newer sponsor of mine. Sure, you can give me arrows and give me money, but what am I going to give back to you? One, I've set up a lot of accounts for them. I'm always talking about their product, and great product, great people, but it's got to come back to them if it's going to be worthwhile for them to sponsor me. And same with any of my other sponsors. I try to pick sponsors that, me personally, that I really believe in, that, for one, are great people, and two, have great products.
Mm-hmm. Now, is that something that you have seeking out, or do they typically come to you after results, or what's the best way to go about that?
Some came to me after results, and some were after I had results. I went to them. So some of it went both ways, and it's a lot more enjoyable when they come to you,
right?
But, and others, I seek some of the others out. So, sometimes you got to ask questions, and some I became friends with, and as time went on, it was just a natural progression to shoot their products, because I thought so much of them as people. And a good example for Shrewd, I knew Sam and Damon for years before I began shooting their products, and we were friends, and we liked to talk motorhomes and thought the world of them. So it was a real easy progression to shoot their product. Plus, they have a great product with their new Onyx bars last year. My gosh, what a great stabilizer! So that was a real easy transition for me to go from one to the other.
Yeah, I saw a lot of those stabilizers on the tournament trail last year. They were really popular, and they're a nice looking outfit.
Yeah, and great people.
Well, Art, we've taken up a lot of your time, and we really appreciate it. How can people follow along if they want to follow you and see how you've been doing, or do you take friends requests on Facebook? How all does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a Facebook page, Art Brown, and they can go on there and send me a friend request, and I'll get them liked up, and they can follow me there. I also have a website, artbrown3d.com, and I try to post my results and stuff on there, who my sponsors are, what equipment I'm using, different things on there, so they can kind of keep up with that. I have my hunting pictures on there and stuff. They can also go to BOWMASTERS on Facebook, and they also have BOWMASTERS has a website, and it's called thebowmasters.com, THE bowmasters.com, and keep up with all the senior stuff on there. So there's a lot of ways to keep in touch.
What's your goals for BOWMASTERS in 2017?
First off, the difficulties are in with BOWMASTERS is getting enough of the older guys involved in social media as far as getting on Facebook and stuff like that. That's been a hurdle. I've grown it to over 2,700 likes in this short year, and I want it to be at 5,000. I want it to be at 6,000, but it's hard for me to grow it as fast as we'd like to, because I like more people to see what we're doing. So what I need out there at the end of these people that are friends on BOWMASTERS go on there and invite friends to like BOWMASTERS and keep this thing growing. I like to keep doing informative stuff, tech tip videos and results stuff on there, and of course mine and Dwayne's crazy videos, but they seem to get what people want to look at.
Yeah. They've been a hit for sure.
Yeah, so I want to keep growing. I want to keep growing the BOWMASTERS that way and get it up to a lot of likes, and the more we can get it up to, and the more that, Jim, when you win your tournament and this guy wins their tournament, they get to get their day on there and promote their sponsors, and people get to get a little more informative with you, like you're letting people know more about me. So, the more well-known you are, the better it is to get sponsors, and the easier it is for sponsor to sponsor me, whoever it be. So, and I see this in the archery industry. Social media is getting larger and larger and larger, and we seniors need to get with the times for sure.
That's a fact, and some of them guys are set in their ways; they ain't even having it.
It's a modern way of communication, and a lot of people just don't want to face that. But it's what it is. People I fought it. People communicate more that way than they do all the other. I don't know
who makes a phone call anymore. It's just text.
You text or Facebook or something's on there all the time. So it's definitely a different world than we used to live in. I fought texting. I fought Facebook, and I looked today and why was I so hard headed? I mean, I'd rather text because I don't have to be on the phone forever with a guy telling me about stuff I don't care to hear about.
Hey, now,
on to other stuff.
Watch it, mister.
I'm not saying you guys. I'm just talking about other people.
Of course. Have you had a lot of response with the BOWMASTERS as far as the kids and stuff?
Yeah, we did the Gene Curry mentor program. A good friend of ours, Gene Curry, you all knew him. He was a great mentor to a lot of people, and he passed away with cancer this last year after a 4 or 5 year battle. Great guy, great friend. I was honored to be able to. He was the first guy who congratulated me after I won the Texas shoot. But so we started that program, and I think the 40 kids got on there and picked mentors, I think it was. So that was really neat, and then that can be an ongoing thing.
It's good to do.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Art, we really appreciate your time. We hope that you'll come back on with us again. I apologize for the technical difficulties tonight. I was really trying to make this a live show, and we had people lined up where they could ask you questions and things like that, and it just didn't work out. I will have those technical difficulties worked out, but I apologize for that, but I really appreciate you coming on and taking all the time, and thank you very much.
For what it's worth, we're having
thank you guys.
Pretty good thunderstorm outside right now, too.
Yes, we are.
I hope it comes this way. But no, thank you guys. Thanks for what you're doing, promoting archery and promoting seniors and archery as a whole. So it's been really awesome and good to be part of.
Art, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yeah. Always enjoy talking to you, Art.
All right, guys. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Art. Appreciate it.
You bet, guys.
Bye. Well, that was a really good interview. We appreciate Art coming on, and like I just told him, we are sorry for you guys who got on Mixlr tonight and was trying to listen in. You could hear Pib just fine, but you couldn't hear Art. And I realize it's some microphone settings and stuff in Skype, so we will get those fixed. So,
well, it worked earlier. That's the weird part.
Yeah, I know. That is strange, but we will get those fixed. So.
Well, yeah, but he was farther away.
Yeah,
that's true.
So
maybe we should have been yelling at each other. It might have been fun.
Yeah. So, you guys have anything you want to add tonight? Do you want to tell everybody what you did in archery this week, Gary? You've been actually shooting your bow, haven't you?
I've been shooting it a lot, but let's wait till next week.
Okay.
I'll shoot some more, maybe.
All right. So, Bob?
Yes. Don't scare me like that, man.
You could join us.
Sorry to wake you up.
I was deep in the BOWMASTERS Facebook page there.
Yeah, make sure you guys go check that out.
Oh, man.
Careful, you're liable to.
He sleeps good through thunderstorms.
Yeah.
Dang, dude.
Well,
I hope that's a leak out of the roof going down my leg.
Well, there is a puddle, but it's only by your chair.
I'll make sure we get all the links and everything to all of Art's information and to BOWMASTERS and to how you can get a hold of his or get some of his targets and things like that. So, so we appreciate you guys listening as usual, and just go to Bowdudes.com and you can check out all of our social media links and everything. And also I put a player for Mixlr on there. I'm not giving up on it. I don't know if these guys really see it happening very well, but
it's going to be great.
Yeah.
As soon as we get it working, we're going to have a giveaway. We're going to give away a Bowdudes Arctic Cup,
Arctic cooler,
30-ounce tumbler.
So
you guys be ready if we ever figure this out.
We'll get it.
Might win something.
We'll get it figured out.
It can only go up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It's going to be a question.
It is
We're
going to
have
be a question.
to dig back into the archives
to
see who we're gonna for the tumbler. It's got to be something that somebody really picked up on.
It's going to be a long-time listener.
Yeah, it can't be those easy questions like the Bow Divers throw out.
Right?
Yeah, they're not listening to this anyway.
No gimmies.
So, hey, thank you for listening again. And again, thanks, Art Brown, for joining us tonight.
See ya.
See you in Funny Papers.
Bicycle.
Shut up and shoot.
Come on, Jack.
See you later.